Hello again, YouTube family. Thanks for those of you who are joining me on this video. By all means, hit the like button. If you've not subscribed to the channel already, consider hitting the subscribe button, and that would help the channel out. But thanks for joining. And this video, we're talking about the recent indictment of Donald Trump for his handling, or better way to say it, his hiding of classified documents that he took from the White House when his term was over, and the National Archives, along with entities within the federal government, were trying to get those documents back, and Donald Trump resisted, and it led to the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago, in which they ended up getting the bulk of the documents. Trump had handed over some documents earlier, claimed he didn't have any others, but as is with the case with Donald Trump most of the time, he was lying because that's what he does. But in this indictment, you've got 37 total felony counts, 31 related to the Espionage Act. There are 31 counts of willful retention of national defense information, 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct justice, 1 count of withholding a document or record, 1 count of corruptly concealing a document or record, 1 count of concealing a document in a federal investigation, 1 count of a scheme to conceal, and 1 count of false statements and representations. And that is the felony count in the case. And it's a big deal. I mean, the prosecution that's going on with Donald Trump in New York related to the hush money payments, adult film actress and the Playboy model, McDougal and Stormy Daniels, that I don't expect. The way they're handling it in New York, that's a financial crimes. That's a financial crimes issue. Honestly, I don't see Donald Trump spending 1 minute in jail, let alone prison, over those financial crimes. There may be fines attached to them, and good luck, chasing Donald Trump down to pay fines. The IRS is still hounding after Donald Trump for something like $79 million he was given in a tax refund he wasn't entitled to, and the IRS still hasn't got that money back. If you or I owe the IRS $500, they would come and take it. They would take it out of your bank account. They would take it out of your paycheck. Whatever they had to do, they would go get the money. Donald Trump still owes them tens of millions of dollars, and they haven't gotten it back. So good luck getting a fine out of him. The special prosecutor in this case that was assigned by the Department of Justice is Jack Smith. There have been all kinds of accusations, just name-calling basically thrown at Jack Smith from Donald Trump, simply because Jack Smith is the guy that's investigating Trump. From the outside looking in, it all looks like Jack Smith's a rather on the up-and-up guy, doing his job as a special counselor. He's been doing the investigation, and when it came to this whole part we're in now, the leveling of charges, he seems to have done his due diligence. He put together a very detailed, specific, crime-related case for the indictment, and I'm doing this video on Monday. It's Monday the 12th. Tomorrow is the 13th, Tuesday, and tomorrow is when Donald Trump is due to show up in court in Miami to address the charges against him. Most likely he's going to plead not guilty, because he always pleads not guilty, even in cases like this where he's obviously guilty. I mean, for someone to say Donald Trump did not take the documents, conceal the documents, that's absurd. That's on its face insane. To try and claim that Donald Trump in some way did not do this. He absolutely did it, and it's going to end up being up to the court system in Florida to determine if he's going to be held accountable in any way for what he did. But with Jack Smith, the special counselor on the case, he alleges that Trump arranged to have a massive trove of documents moved from his private residence from the White House when he left office in January 2021. He arranged for people to move this massive amount of documents, some classified, some top secret, some are classified as Five Eyes only, and the Five Eyes only refers to documents that are only shared between the United States and the United States' closest allies. That's what the Five Eyes is. Much of the document cache includes top secret documents relating to defense and weapons capabilities of the United States and other countries, as we keep tabs on not only what we are capable of doing, not only what our readiness is, but also of other countries. friends, and foe. On at least 2 occasions, Trump showed classified documents to visitors of his Bedminster golf resort. Visitors who did not have the classified security clearances to be able to see those documents. Trump was just showing off that he had these top secret documents to random people who were members of his golf resort in Bedminster, New Jersey. After DOJ inquiries about the missing documents, Trump ordered an aide, whose name is Walt Nauta, to move boxes of classified documents to obstruct any investigation into the matter. So Walt Nauta, his name is W-A-L-T-N-A-U-T-A, Walt Nauta, has also been hit with 6 felonies in this investigation for his compliance with what Trump told him to do. So Donald Trump was breaking the law. This employee for Trump, Walt Nauta, was instructed to do these things. He did them, so now he's on the hook for 6 felonies. And Walt Nauta is screwed. I don't necessarily know that Donald Trump is screwed because Donald Trump has gotten out of all of the criminality he's engaged in his whole life. As you can see with the picture to my left, the FBI, when they went into Mar-a-Lago, they took photographs of the trove of documents Donald Trump had stashed around his resort. He had documents in a ballroom, in a bathroom, in storage rooms, in his office, just laying around. And Trump's golf club employees had access to the documents because of the haphazard way they were just stashed around Mar-a-Lago. His employees have access to the ballrooms, to the bathrooms, to the storage rooms. Random employees at Mar-a-Lago had access to some of the most classified documents in our government because of the way Donald Trump not only kept them. Donald Trump is an insane imbecile. He doesn't realize what a big deal it is to have these documents, to hold on to the documents. When he realized the government wasn't going to stop coming for the documents, he instructed Nauta, his employee, to hide documents to try and obstruct the investigation. And they were just stashed around a golf resort in Florida in places employees had access to. At one point, a box of documents in a storage room at Mar-a-Lago fell over. There were documents scattered on the floor, some of which were labeled 5 Eyes Only, which, as I was talking about earlier, that refers to extremely top secret documents that only the United States and our closest allies are able to look at. Plus, whatever random Mar-a-Lago employee walked into that storage room when they were laying on the floor because the box fell over. That's how insane this is. Walt Nauta photoed, apparently, the documents that had spilled out and shared the photos with other club employees, which I'm sure is one of the reasons why he was hit with 6 felony counts. Trump is due to appear in court tomorrow. Of the 31 indictments, 20 related documents, 20 of the documents are labeled top secret, and there was a massive amount of both classified and top secret documents. As far as the documents themselves, this is a ballroom. When the FBI went in and were collecting the documents, taking their photographs of this is where these documents were at. They were on a stage in a ballroom at Mar-a-Lago that any of the employees had access to. The employees at Mar-a-Lago could have just sat there on their break and thumb through top secret U.S. government documents. This is called I think it's the white and gold or gold and white ballroom, because apparently Donald Trump's very creative, and since the room is white with gold trim, it's named the white and gold ballroom. They were just sitting in boxes in a ballroom at Mar-a-Lago. And to top that, this is photographs of where these documents were found in a random bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. Presumably, this is not Donald Trump's personal bathroom. There was no, in the articles I read, there was no indication of exactly where in Mar-a-Lago this bathroom was located. But most likely, there were at least some employees at Mar-a-Lago that had access to this bathroom in particular. And Donald Trump had documents relating to our nuclear capability, the capability of others. And there were documents relating to a plan of attack if we were to decided to attack Iran. Those plans were in the documents that Donald Trump had, including a map that laid out our advance plan on Iran if we were to decide to go to war with Iran. And Donald Trump showed the map of our planned attack on Iran if we were to go to war with Iran to visitors of his resort. Again, just randomly showing off a map that was without a doubt put together by military leaders, high-ranking generals in the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, that if we were to go to war with Iran, this is the plan of attack. Here's the map laid out with how we're going to advance on Iran if we were to decide to attack them, or if we were forced into attacking them by some kind of attack on us. And Donald Trump shared that map with random visitors at Mar-a-Lago. And here's a video of Donald Trump in his response to the indictments.
Very sadly, we're a nation in decline, and yet they go after a popular president, a president that got more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country, by far, and did much better the second time in the election than the first. And they go after him on a boxes hoax, just like the Russia hoax and all of the others. This has been going on for 7 years. They can't stop because it's election interference at the highest level. There's never been anything like what's happened. I'm an innocent man. I'm an innocent person. They had the Mueller hoax, the Mueller report, and that came out. No collusion after 2.5 years. That was set up by Hillary Clinton and Democrats. But this is what they do. This is what they do so well. If they would devote their energies to honesty and integrity, it would be a lot better for our country. They could do a lot better. They could do a lot of great things. But when you look at what's happened to our country in the last 3 years, we were energy independent. We had a strong military that wasn't woke. We were doing so well. We were respected all over the world. Got the biggest tax cuts in history, biggest regulation cuts in history. And what do? You have a president where an election was taken, got more votes than any sitting president in history by far, never anything even close. And they come after me because now we're leading in the polls again by a lot, against Biden and against the Republicans by a lot. But we're leading against Biden by a lot, a tremendous amount. And we went up to a level that they figure the way they're going to stop us is by using what's called warfare. And that's what it is. This is warfare for the law. And we can't let it happen. We can't let it happen. Our country is going to hell. And they come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI. We can't let this continue to go on because it's ripping our country to shreds. We have such big problems, and this shouldn't be one of them. It's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax.
And that was Donald Trump. He made a video in response to a Truth social media post that he made, where he was saying that he was being indicted by the DOJ for the classified document scandal. And it came to pass. Apparently he was made aware of, his lawyer, somebody was made aware of the fact that the DOJ was, yes, going to indict Donald Trump on the classified documents. Not only the fact that he had on me, kept on me, tried to hide on me, tried to obstruct the investigation. Nothing but criminality here on the part of Donald Trump. And in the wake of all this coming out, Donald Trump is right now not only in the process of running for president, running for the Republican nomination for president. Donald Trump is far and away the leader in the Republican primary. It's not even close. Donald Trump's polling right now in the 50 to 60% range, while the number 2 candidate in the Republican Party is polling around 20%, around 18 to 25%. Is where DeSantis is constantly polling around at. So Donald Trump is not only obviously guilty of what he did, he's running for president, and I'm sure he's hoping that he will be able to run for president and win, and use being president as a way to avoid any kind of penalty for what he did. The Trump cultists, the MAGAites, the maggots, whatever you call the MAGA people, are promoting civil war over this indictment of Trump. They were pissed when he got arrested and indicted in New York by the Southern District of New York District Attorney, and Alvin Bragg in that case. And now he's been indicted by the DOJ. Special Counsel Jack Smith has put together the charging document. Tomorrow, like I said, Donald Trump's due to show up in Miami in court, where he's going to be officially arrested, and arraigned on this criminal case. And most likely he will plead not guilty in this, and he still has at least one more, possibly two more times between now and the election next year that he could be arrested and arraigned on criminal indictments. So it's not over for Trump. And like I said, I don't believe there's a great deal of danger for Trump in the New York case. It's a financial criminal case, and most likely will involve, at most, financial penalty that Trump probably will avoid paying. But the people who are diehard loyalists to Trump are pushing the idea of a civil war. And here is a video video clip of Carrie Lake as she's talking about this whole issue of the classified documents.
We're at war, people. If you want to get to President Trump, you're going to have to go through me, and you're going to have to go through 70 million Americans just like me. And I'm going to tell you, most of us are card-carrying members of the NRA.
And that was Carrie Lake, she said that was not a threat, that was a public service announcement, bringing up this whole thing of, if you want to get to Trump, if you want to hold Trump criminally liable for criminal actions he did, you've got to come through me and 75 million other Americans, and we have guns. That was what she said. And then I'm sure to try and cover her own butt, she had to say that it wasn't a threat, or she might have just thought that it sounded tough to say that. But this is not a threat. This is a public service announcement. But you have these people that are posting on right-wing message boards, on right-wing social media, on normal social media. And in this case, Donald Trump reposted a Truth Social post by right-wing columnist Wayne Allen Root, which included a link to a Root article. The title of Root's article was, "Democrats Want to Indict and Arrest President Trump. They Want a War. Let's Give It to Them." And the article suggested that right-wing attorneys general should indict and arrest this massive list of their enemies, the right-wing boogeymen. It included Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Hunter Biden, and Anthony Fauci, Bill and Hillary Clinton, and Eric Holder, the former Attorney General under Obama, Mark Zuckerberg, the co-founder and CEO of Facebook, of Meta, whatever it's called now, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas. Mr. Root's article suggests that former President Trump did nothing wrong, and that these lists are the true criminals guilty of treason, with no facts, no anything to suggest why he's saying this random list of right-wing enemies, of maggots, enemies. There's nothing saying why they are treasonous. I mean, we know why Trump is. As far as Pelosi, I don't particularly like Pelosi, but she's not treasonous. Barack Obama, Hunter Biden, Anthony Fauci, Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta. It's insane, but that's the kind of things that are being posted right now on the right-wing social media. You also have this, which is quotes from a right-wing message board called The Donald, and things like, "We need to start killing these traitorous F-stains. It's not going to stop until bodies start stacking up. We are not civilly represented anymore, and they'll come for us next." Some of us they already have. I'm assuming that some of us they already have, they're referring to the people who invaded the Capitol on January 6th in 2021. I assume that's what they're referring to there. But this whole paranoia thing of they're going to come for us next. If you follow up on these kind of violent sounding posts by doing something violent, traitorous, then yes, they will come for you, not because you support Donald Trump or because of your political ideology, because of your action. Trump supporters are making specific threats as well. There was a quote, a little bit about Merrick Garland and his wife, his daughters. The user that made that quote shared a link about the Attorney General's children, which is a very specific directed threat. And the government absolutely could look at that as a threat and investigate the person that posted that. It would be completely plausible and understandable if the government decided to start investigating the person that made that threat, because that is a very specific directed threat towards a person and that person's family. Another user responded to that specific post, "His children are fair game as far as I'm concerned." Again, if the government decided to also investigate that guy, it would be completely understandable. They're not going outside of their scope of their charter to investigate specific threats made to government officials. Another user posted a message about Jack Smith, the special prosecutor in the classified documents investigation. Jack Smith should be arrested the minute he steps foot in the red state of Florida. That post, I'm assuming, was aimed at Ron DeSantis, who is the Republican governor of Florida, and these people on the right are trying to make sure and urge him to stay with the program of defending Trump, regardless of what Trump did and what he's guilty of. It's the circling the wagons and protecting the MAGA cult. It's starting to get sort of insane, and you have a chunk of the Republican base that is far right, completely out in right field, off the reservation. And the thing is, I don't know, the news media doesn't know. I'm sure Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, all these various people running the Republican primary right now, they don't know exactly what percentage of the Republican base are these crazies. It could be 15%, it could be 25%, it could be 65%. They don't know. But you have a chunk, actually everybody running for the Republican nomination, except for Chris Christie, are trying to walk this fine line where they're not going to attack Trump, not going to attack these crazies that are cultists of Trump, while trying to run for the nomination. And they're going to fail, because you can't run for the nomination without attacking Trump and explaining why you're a better choice than he is. At least for Chris Christie's part, I'm not a fan of Christie either, but at least for his part, he is doing what he has to do, and he's attacking Trump. He's attacking Trump's record. He's attacking Trump's rhetoric. And he is going to piss off that chunk of the base that will not support him because he's attacking Trump. And to go along with the videos, I have a mashup. There was a Fox Sunday interview with Bill Barr, the former Attorney General under Trump. He was the last Attorney General before the Trump administration ended with the 2020 election. And Bill Barr, by all means, tried to defend Trump. He tried to lie for Trump. He was very much a lapdog for Trump, and he was one of the people in that administration that left office before the administration was officially over. After the election, after he knew Trump lost, he was one of the rats that abandoned the sinking ship, and there were a lot of those. And Bill Barr, to his credit, he is someone who has experience in law. He's been Attorney General. He's been Attorney General for the state. He's had numerous positions within the legal parameters. He's a lawyer. He has a degree in law. And here is a mashup of his responses to this classified documents investigation and indictment in Florida.
Well, it started out under the Presidential Records Act and the archives trying to retrieve documents that Trump had no right to have. Documents. I was shocked by the degree of sensitivity of these documents and how many there were, frankly. So the government's agenda was to get those, protect those documents and get them out. And I think it was perfectly appropriate to do that. It was the right thing to do. And I think the counts under the Espionage Act that he willfully retained those documents are solid counts. That would be true, but I do think that even half of what Andy McCarthy said, which is if even half of it is true, then he's toast. I mean, it's a very detailed indictment, and it's very, very damning. And this idea of presenting Trump as a victim here, a victim of a witch hunt, is ridiculous. He's not a victim here. He was totally wrong that he had the right to have those documents. Those documents are among the most sensitive secrets that the country has. He they have to be in the custody of the archivist. He had no right to maintain them and retain them. And he kept them in a way at Mar-a-Lago that anyone who really cares about national security, their stomach would churn at it. Here, I think the government acted responsibly. They gave him every opportunity to return those documents. They acted with restraint. They were very deferential to him, and they were very patient. They talked to him for almost a year to try to get those documents, and he jerked them around. They finally went to a subpoena, and what did he do? According to the government, he lied and obstructed that subpoena. And then they did a search, and they found a lot more documents. And I don't think they're even sure now whether they have everything. So they acted in a very patient way, and what they were met with was, according to the government and the indictment, very egregious obstruction. Now, we can't forget here that this entire thing came about because of reckless conduct of the president. If he had just turned over the documents, which I think every other person in the country would have done, they're the government's documents. They're official records. They're not his personal records. Battle plans for an attack on another country or Defense Department documents about our capabilities are in no universe Donald J. Trump's personal documents. They are the government's documents.
What about the arguments they'll say, okay, when it came to President Obama leaving, or, President Biden was vice president when some of these documents allegedly that he's got, that's a different question. But when you think about somebody like President Obama or President Clinton, the sock drawer case with President Clinton, they'll point to these and say, listen,
so there are two big
documents.
lies, I think, that are out there right now. One is, these other presidents took all these documents. Those were situations where they arranged with the archives to set up special space under the management, control, and security provided by the archivist to temporarily put documents until the libraries were ready. These were not people just putting them in their basement, okay? And the second thing that the president, this idea that the president has complete authority to declare any document personal is obvious. It's facially ridiculous. That opinion had to do with the distinction between official records, which are records prepared by government agencies for the purpose of government action, and personal documents as opposed to official documents, which are things prepared by the president, such as a diary or notes, which are not used in the government's deliberations. And yes, as to the second class, stuff that the president himself generates, the president has some discretion. But these are official documents. It's inarguable. The president's daily brief provided by the intelligence community is not Donald J. Trump's personal document, period. The government acted responsibly, and it was Donald J. Trump who acted irresponsibly.
And that was Bill Barr talking about this criminal indictment. Bill Barr, as I said, was the last long-serving attorney general under Trump during his one term in office. And Bill Barr was explaining in his own words that if the indictment holds up, that all this stuff is able to be proven in court, then Donald Trump is, in his words, toast. That he should be going to prison. This indictment, if Trump was to be found guilty and convicted on the maximum penalty for all crimes, he's facing 536 years in prison. Not going to happen. Nobody's going to bother putting him in prison for 536 years. He's in the mid to late 70s. But that's just to show the breadth of how significant these charges are. The penalty, if he was to be found guilty on all charges and was given the max sentence, it would be over 500 years in prison. And Bill Barr was explaining that the government went out of their way to help Donald Trump, to give him time to give the documents back. And he kept stymieing them at every turn. He was claiming he didn't have the documents. He told lawyers that worked for him to say he didn't have any more documents. There are lawyers that had worked for him prior to now. They've since quit because they realized they were in legal jeopardy working for Trump. But some of them are in potential legal jeopardy for having lied to the government. He was telling lawyers he had that worked for him to destroy documents, to destroy classified and top secret government documents they weren't even allowed to put their hands on. Donald Trump was telling them to destroy the documents so that he couldn't be found out for having the documents that he was lying about to the government. I mean, Donald Trump's own actions show that he understands he is guilty of what he did. Apparently, there's an audio recording of Donald Trump talking to the biographer of his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows' biographer was talking to Donald Trump at Bedminster, his New Jersey golf resort, and Donald Trump was explaining to that guy he had documents that he wasn't supposed to have, that they were classified. And so Donald Trump knew they weren't declassified. He knew he wasn't supposed to have them, and he kept them anyway. And with all that Bill Barr said, and some people, certainly in the news media, the CNNs, MSNBCs, will try to make it out like Bill Barr is doing something good by coming out and explaining how Donald Trump did this stuff and it was bad. That's on its face obvious. I mean, you are either a delusional Trump cultist or just really, really not intelligent if you don't realize that what Trump did was bad, was illegal, that the government gave him way too much leeway. But even with all this stuff Bill Barr said, Bill Barr is very much a right-wing Republican person. And Bill Barr, when asked if it came down to, in the general election, Biden versus Trump, who would you vote for? And Bill Barr said Trump. So even with all this stuff he's saying about how horrible it was what Trump did, how illegal it was, how for people who are concerned about our nation's security, our national security, still would roll over in their stomachs would turn over what Donald Trump did, still said, between Biden and Trump, he would vote for Trump. It seems insane, but that's the thing. Republicans are going to vote Republican, no matter how bad the Republican is. So with this indictment, tomorrow Trump's due in court. He's facing over 500 years in prison if he was to get the max penalty and be found guilty on all crimes. Why did Donald Trump keep these documents? That's the question that we may go to our graves asking. Why did Donald Trump keep very top secret, very classified documents, and not just some, a massive treasure trove of them, when those documents are supposed to go, as Bill Barr said, those documents belong to the government. They don't belong to any president, they belong to the government. And it could be so simple as Donald Trump is this really, really dumb narcissist, and he thought it made him look cool to show classified documents off to these random people that paid the exorbitant fee to be a member of his golf clubs. Maybe that's it. Maybe there's something more nefarious behind it, because Donald Trump, what he cares about is actually being as rich as he claims to be, which he is not. However, these documents he kept are worth a lot of money to a lot of people, particularly nations that are adversarial to us. We know after Trump left office that his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, was given a cool $2 billion, with a B, $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. The folks behind that national fund this money comes out of were asking, why are we giving this nitwit $2 billion? It was given to Jared Kushner at the command of Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, who has been buying weapons from us. He got very cozy with Donald Trump, and Jared Kushner was arguing to not attack MBS for his murder of Jamal Khashoggi, the Washington Post journalist, who was murdered, dismembered, and discarded by henchmen for Mohammed bin Salman. And it could be that stuff like that, $2 billion, is the reward that people around Trump get for turning over documents of a high degree of value to foreign countries, like Saudi Arabia. As Bill Barr said in that mashup clip I had of him, the government doesn't even know yet if they have all the documents back. And that's where we are right now. We don't know if we have all the documents. The government doesn't know if they have all the documents. And hopefully we do. Hopefully it's not that nefarious what Donald Trump is doing. We don't know if we have all the documents back or not. We don't know exactly where this is all going as far as Donald Trump. We don't know why he did it. He is a severe threat to national security in this country. That is without a doubt. He is the biggest threat to national security during my lifetime, to be sure. And he is also, even though you have Republicans complaining about the elites, Donald Trump is a privileged juvenile elite. He was born into extreme wealth and privilege. He has been able to skirt the law, skirt authorities all his life because of the privilege he has enjoyed. And Donald Trump could possibly not understand that there are consequences for your actions. It could be that he doesn't quite understand yet that if you do something illegal, you can be held accountable for it. So whether it's ignorance or nefarious reasons behind why he kept the documents, the Trump cult is defending him and threatening violence, and that's something the authorities in Florida have to deal with because Trump's to be arraigned tomorrow in Miami. And beyond there, will the Trump cult cause violence because of Trump being held accountable for what he did? Something we have to ask and worry about, because even though we might want Trump to be over, we might want to be through with him, we're not done yet. We still have one more election to go, at least, to deal with Trump, and hopefully there will be no violence. Hopefully the Trump cult will die down. Whether or not this or any of the other indictments that could be coming down the road for Trump will end up turning people away from him enough that one of the other candidates will be running in the general election, we also don't know. Right now, it's Trump. Right now, the Republican Party is, as I've said before, a cult of personality, and that personality is, unfortunately, Trump. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and everyone, please have a good day.